Hi there, welcome to this episode of Cloud Native Skunkworks on what makes a good software engineering manager. I thought this would be an interesting conversation to have because firstly, and selfishly, I'm looking for a software engineering manager for one of my teams here at Canonical, but also I thought it would open up a wider conversation around what are the attributes and what are the sort of key tenets that make this particular position unique, but also require a certain type of individual. Well, I think there's a bit of a misnomer, first and foremost, around what a software engineering manager is. It is neither somebody who is purely in technical leadership, nor is it somebody who is purely in the business or product leadership. It is a intersection of the two, and getting that right and the flavoring of that can vary between the individual, but more often than not, it is a really unique balance between those two masters of being able to be a good technical leader to look after your team, but also being able to translate the business objectives and requirements from product side of the business into something tangible by executing that through your engineering capacity. So if we take a look at this traditional view of what makes a great EM, well, let's start right in the center of our diagram here. An engineering manager, right? So you have these competing forces that you are trying to work with in your day-to-day life. You have the vision of product. You have technical. And on the technical side, that might break down into some smaller fields. You might have things such as architecture. What else do we have in a technical sense? We might have tech debt. Those might be the long committed to projects that have sort of fallen by the wayside and perhaps incurred tech debt. And in architecture, you'll have things like scalability. You'll also have things like integration. And so there are many different areas that your attention will be pulled in this area alone. If we start to think again around the people side of things of an engineering manager, it's going to be a combination of things here. You're going to have career management. And often I found that the best engineering managers I've had have been slightly more biased towards the people side of things because that's really the enabler. And that's really, I see, where a lot of their value comes is as an enabler for the technical and the product representatives to work together efficiently. But let's deep dive into people a bit more. So career management, you've also got conflict resolution. You'll have things like emotional development and well-being. And emotional development can mean that people feel safe to work within your team, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that you're mandating how they should feel, just that they have a space for that. So emotional development and well-being. We also have here on people long-term goals. And this is a separate strain to career management. Long-term goals can be, hey, I want to be able to take a sabbatical in 5 years. So we'll leave that for now, for people. We've got product, but akin to product, you also have a separate thread that is on the same side, which is going to be around perception management. And you could call this marketing, internal awareness, branding. This is an important part of being an EM because you are helping to facilitate your team inside of the organization, but also what they're doing and the quality of their work. So let's do something along here, like brand awareness. What are we working on? And that brand awareness is both internal and it's external. And this isn't mutually exclusive to an EM. This is something that you can contribute to and you might have some opinions on. I'm not saying it's your entire job. Now, let's come back to the product side. We also have collaboration, right? You're not purely taking orders on what to build and when. You're organizing and managing expectations. So stakeholder management. And then we have one that comes between the two of these things, strategic alliances. And these will be the relationships both internally and externally that are going to help you and your team to leverage the resources you have available to elevate your profile and to help you to achieve your goals. So internal and external strategic alliances. This is touching upon what I would call the L0, so like the first layer of your job. And this is really the expectation of what you'll be doing more or less every single day within your diary, and different areas might get attention on different days. But if you really want to go beyond that and take it to sort of this L1 approach, where we think about what are the external and auxiliary things that you can be doing to go even further beyond, let's have an identification of that and really think about what that means. So you can see we're starting to touch upon it here with this idea of external and internal events, differentiating that there are activities and things that you can do with your profile that will be raising external interest outside of the company. I think a big one of those is advocacy. I think developer advocacy is not exclusive to developer advocates. I think everybody in the team can take part of that in that activity. And taking yourself into the position of social media, whether that's blog posts, whether that's conferences, that is where you can really start to elevate yourself as a manager. So let's pop that down here. Starting to promote the work your team is doing and to also shine a light on the work your company is doing has a fantastic knock-on effect. Again, in this L1 circle, you see that we've got this idea of people. Well, that goes to hiring as well. Hiring is an L0 activity in terms of it's part of your day-to-day job, but active hiring goes beyond that. Active hiring is about participating and shaping the hiring funnel, looking to external candidates, looking to what are the market trends, looking to what is the talent that we're going to need in 6 to 12 months' time, not just now. From a technical perspective, it's similar to what I mentioned with dev advocacy, the idea that you are becoming a luminary in your field and starting to look at external influences. Now, this could be a cloud native project, this could be a set of technical advisory groups, but this is starting to elevate what you're doing on your day-to-day. From a product perspective, and I guess adjacent to this, you have the idea of external influences in terms of market indicators. And you could put market indicators next to the external circle here as well. The idea that you need to be aware as an engineering manager, whether you're managing an iOS app, whether you're managing a website or a backend application, what are the comparative competitors in the market? What are other projects doing to solve the problems that you have? And how do you get past those? You'll see that we have these effectively 4 key tenets. And, I could break these down a little more even to have things such as virtues. So virtues would be things like empathy. However, what I want to do is focus on the final part of this, which I think is more of an unwritten and more of an experience-based and perhaps a pathology-based approach, which is to combine some of these things, so the product awareness, the technical awareness, the people awareness, the brand and perception awareness, to have a level of business acumen. And that really comes into its own category. Business communication is an interesting name for a field, or an interesting name for a domain grouping that I put here. But the point being is that you need to, on top of collaborating with stakeholders, on top of hiring, on top of understanding how you deal with conflicts and how you advocate for your projects and products, you need to understand within your own organization the mission for your business. And understanding that can also be actively participating in that mission and identifying what you resonate with, because it will impact the rest of these things. It'll also be about looking for mentors and mentees. Because the next generation of engineering managers, they're not going to know about all these soap bubbles. They need to have some of that advice shared with them on how they can be better at their job. Additionally to that, we have the third piece here, which is going to be partnerships. Partnerships are what are going to help elevate you out of that sort of baseline set of operational things that you do every week up to this higher functioning individual within the organization who's helping to not only manage the team, but is managing upwards and is building a strategic partnership with their peers. So this can be other EMs, this can be directors, this can be VPs, and this is about getting buy-in for your particular unit. So this is how I think about an engineering manager in terms of their responsibilities, some of the capabilities that would be necessary to do well at your job, but also the things that really elevate you from being able to manage a backlog in Jira to actually becoming at the real forefront of your discipline in balancing those complex technical and product demands, but also understanding that there are other axioms and tenets to which you need to pay attention to. I hope this was useful. It was just a very off-the-cuff and lucid thought into my own hiring and some of the things that I look towards. And if you find this useful and interesting, or if you disagree with some of the things I've said, please do leave a comment, and I would be ever so happy to have a conversation with you later on. Thank you so much. Goodbye.